Hey everyone, it's Bobby from Decoding, and in this video we will be adjusting a Dockerized Django app to allow CICD using GitHub Actions. So let's jump straight into it. So if this is the first time you visited Decoding, then please subscribe and click that bell so you're notified every time I add a video to the channel. And also do me a massive favor and like this video and drop me a comment because, like I say, it's a massive help. And also I like to see the feedback. So if you are already a subscriber, you'll know now that I'm doing these videos sort of once a week-ish, and they're accompanied now with a tutorial on my website. The link to this tutorial will be in the description below, but this one is /tutorial/continuous delivery for Django. Like I said, it will be in the description below. Also, the link to the code and the repository will be in the description also, so don't worry about that, but I will be referencing it in a second. But why continuous delivery? What is it? Well, continuous delivery is all about getting your code in front of the user as quickly, safely, and as sustainable as possible. This means bug fixes, new features, but the key here is continuous, right? So I've been using this for Decoding for quite some time. It's enabled me to be a hell of a lot more streamlined. And it means if I'm correcting a bug locally, I can push my code to GitHub, providing all of the tests work. It then deploys the code directly to my server without any intervention from myself at all. It's all automated, and it's just like I say, it's a hell of a lot more streamlined, and it's fantastic. So I wanted to do this video for quite some time. So the app that we'll be using is a Dockerized Django app. Now, it could be a lot more basic than the one I'm using, but this one's kind of real world. I'm hoping you can take this app and you can dissect it and use it more or less in your own project with minimal effort. So it's using Celery, Celery Beet, Redis, and Flower to manage ad hoc and scheduled tasks. One of those tasks is sending an email. So we'll be messing around with Gmail throughout this tutorial. So let's jump straight into it, okay? This is the tutorial. Like I said, a bit of an intro there. These are the links to the previous videos. So we built the Django app, we Dockerized it, then we made a production-ready Docker container. They're the three videos if you want to watch them, just to show you how we got to this point. This is a link to the video that I'm creating now. So what I'm recording now will be a link on this video. We've also got the repository here, so you can clone it down from this repository and branch. But that's that, right? So I hope that you would follow along with this tutorial so you can actually, like I say, follow along. So we've got a syllabus here. So we'll be cloning down from GitHub. We'll be configuring the project. We'll be configuring DigitalOcean. So you will need a DigitalOcean account. I have got an affiliate link. I'll show you where that is shortly. We'll be setting up access keys and secrets with GitHub, and then we'll be setting up packages and actions, and then we'll be deploying it and testing it, right? So nice and easy. Hopefully we can plow through it. Just a side note, I will be pausing this video a lot. When I was just creating this video a few days ago, it was very clunky. There was a lot of pausing, and I didn't really kind of caveat that off at the start of the video. The reason I'll be pausing it, you'll be following along with me live. However, I'll be pausing because when I run a command such as sudo apt update or upgrade, that can take 5 minutes to do that. So rather than you watching me sitting there scratching my head, looking at a blank screen, I'll be pausing the video, but you'll be following along, right? So bear with me. It'll be as clunky as it always is, but hopefully you can follow along. Prerequisites, we will need a Gmail account for this tutorial. You can use other providers, but we're using Gmail, so you'll need an app password, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. And you'll also need a domain. Affiliate links are here, so I've got Interserve, I've got 123res. By all means, click them, but there's other providers. They are affiliate links, so I will get a kickback if you use them, but you will need a domain because we will be deploying this, okay? So setup, so let's get our code. So we need to navigate to our development directory, create a new project directory, open Visual Code, and start in your new directory, and that's how we're gonna get into this project. So the easiest way to do this is to go into your development directory and type in CMD. I'm on a Windows machine. This won't work for Apple. CMB, we want CMD. That's a great start, right? Let's go CMD, and we will use the command that we've got here. All we're doing here is we're creating a new directory, we're CDing into it, and we're opening up Visual Studio Code with code full stop, period. Depends where you are. Okay, right, open up a new terminal in Visual Studio Code. Let's make that a little bit bigger. How's that? Yeah, that'll do. Open up a bash terminal. And what we'll be doing is cloning down from Docker prod. So Docker prod is the last branch. That's where it was a production ready Docker Django project. So we'll be cloning down from that and adjusting that one. Clone it down. We need my passphrase. Happy days. So we've got the back end, that's the project, the Django project, got an Nginx file. Like I said, this is all from the Docker prod branch. Then we need all of this. So we need to set a new head for the project. So we need to set a new project in GitHub, a new repository, and then we need to be pointing it there because that's where we'll be setting up the actions. So I've already set one up called Django CICD. Is that, yeah. So we need git remote set URL origin. And you need your own username and a repository name. So let's go back in Visual Studio Code. So it'll be this. So it'll be Bobby did coding. And I think, is it / or semicolon? It is / and it's Django CICD and followed by .git. There we go. That looked to work. I can pick up all of this. So we do remote V, that will test everything. Okay, that worked. Git branch main. So we're now in there. We're now checking out to main. Your branch is now up to date, and then we push U origin main. I'll need my passphrase again. There we go. So if we now go into the repository that is set up, so this is the Django CICD. If we update now, we should. There we go. We got it. Okay, so that is the repository all set up. Obviously, yours would not be Bobby did coding, and your repo won't be Django CICD, but they're the commands that you need. Go back in the tutorial. So project setup. This won't take too long. We just need a few files. So let's create some necessary files. I've got a typo there. Copy all of that. Go back in the VS Code. We don't need bash open anymore. You can delete that. We don't need that. So we just use this one here. So what have we done? We made a directory called .github, CD'd into it. We've created another one called workflows because these are the workflows we'll be creating. So it will be a build job and a deploy job, or workflow, should I say. And then we CD'd into that and we created a main YML file. Just a note, if you are using VS Code, just get your extensions and just, if you can, is it YAML? Yeah, there you go. If you can just install this, YAML, get that installed because I had problems the other day with the copy and pasting from the website, and by having that extension installed, it just allows you to quickly identify where you've got syntax errors and things like that. Okay, so we've created a main YML, CD'd out of that. We have then created a CICD YAML file. We've created a logs, CD'd into it, and created a celery log. Now we need this because we're referencing that in a Docker product file, this one here. And also we need to copy that across when we're copying it over to DigitalOcean. And then we're CDing out of that, and that is it. So yeah, so we just created all of the files in the project. That's all we need. You'll notice that we've created a main YML file within the .github workflows. This will need to be used to create jobs and GitHub Actions. We also created a new compose file. I just went through that. You need to make 1 or 2 little changes to the Docker file to ensure the correct directories are created. Little typo there. Replace the code in backend Docker file with the following. So copy all of this. Backend Docker file. Control A and Control V. And I'll paste it, and then Control S to save it. All I've done is I've created a celery log here, which is like, again, that's required. So that's all the changes we need in that file. We now need to alter the git ignore file so that celery logs are pushed to GitHub. We do need the celery logs there. So if you can just copy all of this file, just change the git ignore, save that as well. If I had a bit more time, I'd probably debug that, but it just seemed to work. So we do need a celery log directory and file, or log directory and a celery log file in GitHub for this all to work. We'll put in a project configuration for now, as the code will not make sense until we've tinkered with GitHub and DigitalOcean. So let's get started. You need to go to DigitalOcean. You do need a DigitalOcean account. If you click this and set an account up, it's an affiliate link. I get a kickback. Everyone's happy. It's free money. You get $100 when you set up. Don't use it if you don't want to. Complete transparency, it's an affiliate link, right? So you will need a DigitalOcean account to follow along. Once you've set it all up, we need to set up a droplet, we need to set up manage database, and we need to set up the domain, okay? So the droplet, in the previous video, we set this up manually. In this video, we're going to use an image. So Docker and Docker Compose will need to be installed on your virtual machine. You configure a new droplet with Docker and Docker Compose pre-installed with this video. However, we can do this. You will need to install a few packages on your new virtual machine. So look, let's get this all set up. So we go to DigitalOcean. This is my development area, if you like. We need to go in here. We need to go in droplets. I won't keep flicking backwards and forwards between this and the tutorial because I'm just going through the same stuff. So you need to go into marketplace, and we will create this droplet based on an image which will already have Docker installed. So if we click this, that'll have Docker and Docker Compose, which is exactly what we want. Keep CPU basic. We'll have it at £48 a month or dollars a month. You can change that, depends on your requirements. We'll have London as a data center. Again, depends on your requirements. We'll set up a root password. Okay. And I mean, again, you can set up all of this IPv6, enable backups, whatever you choose to do. It's not a problem. So is that, no, I didn't want that there. We'll have the name of it here, CICD, and we will click create. Now that'll take a couple of seconds to go ahead and configure that droplet. But by the end of this, when this blue line goes all the way across, we will have a droplet that is all configured against how we've just done. Have Docker installed and have Docker Compose. We still need to connect via SSH. We'll actually be using the built-in console on DigitalOcean to add Nginx, to add some Postgres stuff to the server. And also, the sudo apt update and upgrade, all of that kind of stuff, we'll be doing that. I will also need to add certbot as well, because this will be served up using an SSL certificate. So we'll be doing that as soon as that gets to the end, which won't be long. I might as well wait now, it's only going to be a second. What we'll do is we will set up a domain DNS. I'm doing it in a slightly different order because normally, actually, no, I won't. I will set up the managed database because that'll take a second. Databases. So PostgreSQL. Use number 13. Keep it all basic unless you want to change it. London, the data center. Call this CICD for giggles, and create database cluster. Now that will take a few minutes to do, but we don't actually need that information just yet, so don't worry about that. Sometimes this comes up with a wizard where you can add your IP address. So you need to stipulate on this managed database what IP addresses have access to it. So obviously the droplet that we just created has an IP address, so you need to say that, and you can always use your local machine as well. So secure this database cluster by restricting access. We've got trusted sources, edit, and you can have CICD. There we go, save. Next, we want domain DNS. So get your domain ready. I'm going to use didcoding.uk. Add that. Then we need some A records. Now these are important. You will need these. When you set up a domain, it doesn't have anything, but you will need 3. We'll need to set up 3. So you put @ and that will be at didcoding.uk. Direct it towards the IP address of the drop that we've just set up. Create a record. Next one, you want to use a subdomain of www. Same again, direct it to the new droplet. And lastly, we want one called Flower, because this will be the subdomain of the Flower dashboard. So the workers, the Celery workers, will be logging the results of the tasks using Flower. And that's how we'll access it in a production environment. Okay, so point that towards that server also. And there we have it. Okay, so these are the A records, Didcoding UK, www, and flower.didcoding.uk. Go back into your set up here. Yeah, the cluster's still going. We don't need that information just yet. It's fine. Let it do its business. But all intents and purposes, that's all we need to do at DigitalOcean right now. We will need to come back and get some information from the cluster. You can probably access it now, to be fair. Yeah, so we've got username, password, host. We'll need all of that. Whilst that's configuring, it doesn't really matter. But for us to migrate to this database, it needs to be set up. So that'll only take a few more minutes. Let's go back to the tutorial. So setting up the droplet. Excuse me. I have skipped forward a little bit. What we now need to do is we need to actually SSH to the droplet using the built-in console in DigitalOcean. This will allow us to then run some commands directly on the server. Okay, so we go back to DigitalOcean, go back into here, go back into the droplet that we've created. And on the top right, can you see that? On the top right, click console. That'll open up a little terminal. And this is just saving you SSHing and going through all of that rigmarole. You can go directly and actually access it directly here. We will be adding the SSH key and stuff just as a matter of course. Here we go. Let's add some rule that. If I put clear, yeah, there you go. So if I keep the terminal here, like I say, I will be pausing this when I'm running these. So sudo at update won't take a second, but sudo at upgrade will. So let it do its business. Like I say, I will sudo at, I will stop this in a sec. Upgrade. There we go. Click yes there. And I'll just pause it. Okay, lovely jubbly. That's all done. So now we need to follow this bit. So we need to add a new user. So add user, don't want a space there. User Bobby. What I'll do, that'll create a directory called Bobby in the home directory on the server. You'll have to add a password and then confirm that password. Now it's up to you if you want to add the full name and what have you, but I'll just leave them all blank. Okay, so we now cd into home. You'll see, if I put ls, you'll see that there'll be a directory called Bobby. So we now need to go user mod ag sudo and then Bobby, and then lastly g password a Bobby, and that's sudo. That'll add all the sudo privileges to Bobby. So we need to cd back out and then cd into home Bobby, make dir CICD and make dir .ssh and cd into .ssh. And then we want a sudo nano for the authorized keys. Spell that correctly because it won't work if you don't. What this is, we need to dump in the public SSH key that we set up. I've got a video, a link to which at the top of the screen of how to set up an SSH key, but I've already got mine here. This is my public key. It's called demo. Just Control A, copy. I'll just dump that in the nano, paste, Control S, Control X. And that is the SSH key added for Bobby. So we now cd back into root, home, and then we'll have a sudo. Well, if you go ls, you'll see that there is, oh, actually it's hidden, but there is actually a SSH key directory there. So cd into .ssh, is that right? Yeah. Then sudo nano authorized keys. And this will allow us to SSH as the root user as well. And we'll just dump in there the paste, Control S, Control X. So now we've added an SSH key for root and Bobby. It's the same one, but you might want to use a different one. Now we can close that. We don't need that anymore. Clear. Oh. Clear. And we're now about to install all of this. So sudo apt install, we've got the Python 3 pip, Python 3 dev, lib pq dev, and we've got PostgreSQL client and nginx. So just copy all of that, go back into your terminal, and dump all that in here, paste, there we go. That might take a second as well, so just in case I'm going to pause it. Didn't like that. sudo apt install. There we go. Upgrade 17 newly installed. After this operation, 227 megabytes of additional disk space will be used. Do you want to continue? Yes. There we go. I don't know why I didn't like it the first time around. I'm going to pause it. Okay, that's that done. We now need to bring in certbot. Like I say, we'll be serving this app up with an SSL certificate. So we need certbot. Sorry, I've gone there. Paste. Do what it's got to do. It won't take a second. And then need to tinker with the firewall. Sudo ufw enable. Click yes. And clear this because it's getting a bit clunky behind my head there. We then need to add a sites available. So this is where we start the Nginx configuration. So we need to set one up for digcoding. We also need to set one up for flower.digcoding.uk. So we need two of these files and then we need to link them. Okay, so open up your terminal again. Let me move that over there. That should be okay. Paste, it'll open up a nano. Just copy all of this across. Copy directly into your nano. Paste that. Control S, Control X. Well, before I could say Control X, you can see here the server name. You need to change that to your own domain. All of this should remain the same. Okay, so we now do exactly the same for Flower. Open up your terminal, paste that in there, and then we pick this up, and you can see the actual host is different. So the port is 5555 for this one, whereas a little bit different for the other one. It was 08080. So again, this is server name flower.digcoding.uk. So Control S, Control X. Then we need to link them. Copy the 2 lines of code here. This will link them and create the sites enabled. Paste, and then when this works, we would then test with sudo nginx -t. If it says successful, yeah, there you go, tested successful. So the configuration is correct, right? So we don't need anything else there. We then need to create, so we need to restart Nginx, then we need to delete the 8000 from the firewall, and we need to add all of the Nginx bits and pieces with Nginx full. Go back in the terminal, paste all of that in there, and it should go about and do that. Okay, cool. Manage database, we've done that. Is this all ready now? Let's have a look at the managed database. Yeah, it's all good. It's all ready to go. So we've done the managed database. Shows you how to do it. All good. Also shows you how to add the A tags. A record. A stands for address, and this is the most fundamental type of DNS. We've already done that, so it's all good. So head back to your console and use the following code. So if we use this, because we've configured everything, and we've installed certbot, can you see that? You can above my head there. Paste. Obviously, you'd change digcoding.uk, you change www.digcoding.uk and the flower.co.uk or digcoding.uk. If you click OK, as the DNS records are there, they'll ask you for an email address. They'll ask you if you want to agree to certain things. Just put yes. Unless you don't, then put no. It's requesting a certificate for digcoding.uk plus the 2 other domains, the subdomains. It should work. There you go, successfully deployed. Sometimes it doesn't work, and it could be because your DNS isn't set up correctly. Just double check. If you're moving from one server to another, you might have stuff like propagation that you got, so there's a timing issue. But if it's a new domain, you shouldn't have any issues at all. So we then run a dry run. So this will just renew these certificates programmatically without any intervention. Paste, let it do its business. Move it over there a little bit. All good. So providing that works, let's just double check there. Simulating renewal, happy days. All simulated renewals are successful, all succeeded. So that's all good. That's DigitalOcean all done. We're all configured. Don't need to do anything else there. We now need to set up GitHub Actions. Okay, so GitHub Packages, or we need to set up access, key, and secrets. So we need to do this for packages. So packages is a platform for hosting and managing packages, including containers and other dependencies. We're going to be using packages for Docker images. Okay, so we're going to be creating images and storing them on packages, and then we're pushing those to DigitalOcean using actions and jobs and workflows, right? So that's what we're doing. And read more about it, just click this link here. But essentially, that's what we're doing. So we need to set up a new personal access key. So one sec. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to set up an access token. So you log into your GitHub account and then visit this URL here. So it's github.com/settings/apps. So if you go here, this is where you can set up your personal access key. So this is basically in settings, developer settings. If you go in here, go into settings, just so you can see, we've got, where are we? Is it in here or is it just in settings? Was it in there? Settings and I thought, yeah, developer settings right at the bottom. Sorry, no, that was there. I just couldn't see the wood through the trees. So this is basically what you're visiting. So github.com settings apps. We want personal access token. Generate a new token. Call this. You'll need your password. Let's go there. And so what we'll call this decoding CICD. No, we won't. We'll just call this Django CICD. Doesn't really matter. Let's just be the name. Expiration, I'm going to put no expiration on this. But what you will need is write packages and delete packages. Okay, when you click that, this automatically gets ticked anyway. And then click generate token. Okay, copy that, and you want to dump that, or you can dump that in your notepad. You'll need access to that in a few moments. So just paste that there. Happy days. That's your access token. It walks you through what you've got to do there. Then we need to navigate to this URL. So it'll be github.com, your username. So in my case, it's Bobby Decoding. Your new repository name, settings, secrets, actions. Okay. So if we go into, where is it? Django CICD. So it's this one. We go into settings. And what was it? It was settings, secrets, actions. There you go. So that's the URL. Okay, that's what we're visiting here. We haven't got any secrets here. So these are great, right? So this allows you to capture all of your sensitive information in a project, and it's all encoded using secrets in GitHub. And we'll use the workflows to create a .env file from those encrypted user keys, private keys, SSH keys, and things like that. Secret keys for Django. So that's what we're going to be using it for. So what we need to do is we need to go about, we need to create all of the following secrets. So for this project, we'll need a DigitalOcean IP address, and I've tried to be explicit as possible. This is the DigitalOcean droplet IP address. The allowed host, this is your domain name. I won't read through all of them, but we need 16 of them, right? Spend some time doing this, do it properly. It's a case of just add in the secret name, the variable name, and finding the correct information, adding it into the field and saving it, and it's all done. So I'll do one for you. So DigitalOcean IP address, new repository secret, paste it in there. And what we want is the IP address from here. So copy, go into secrets, paste, add secret. That's all there is to it. I won't bore you and go through 16 of them or another 15 of them. I will stop the video here, add 15, be back in a sec. Okay? So watch this space. Happy days, all done. Right, okay, so I've added all those secrets now. The only one I haven't done is Google app password, because I haven't shown you how to do that. So I think I'll talk about, do you know what, I'll do it now. Right, okay, so Google app passwords, you need a Google account, obviously. So go into Google account, you need security, you need to set up all of the two-step verification and what have you. And we want an app password. Put your password in. And then it will say set up a new one. I've got so many, I'll probably delete all of these anyway. So other, oh sorry, no, that's wrong. You want mail, you want Windows computer for me, and then generate a passkey, one of those. So use that, go back in here, go into Google App Password, you update it, in this case because I've already added one, and update the secret key. Just getting a notification to say that I've just set up a new app password. So that's all done. They're all the secrets done in decoding. We don't need any more issues there, or we have no issues there. So, okay, let's run a quick test. Let's create an image of our project and get it into GitHub Packages. You will need to add your own details into the ** comments. Okay, so go back into, can you see that? You can now. Go in here. Let's just open up a new one. Okay. We paste that. So it's Docker build. So it's backend / Docker file prod. So we're referencing this file here. ghcr.io. So you need to change username. We'll be changing this to Bobby did coding. And the repository was Django CICD. We'll be calling this app latest, and it's ./backend. So we press go and do what it's got to do. Hold on. Docker is not up and running on machine. So let me pause it and get that running, and it will work. All good. Right, it's up and running now. Let's see if it'll work. So just double check everything. There we go. Yeah, I just needed Docker up and running. It's amazing how many times I come into that problem. Right, let's do what it needs to do. Open up the browser again with a tutorial, and we need to log in with our personal access key. And then we need to push this to, as an image to the packages, Google Packages, right? So Google, GitHub Packages. Right, it's done. So can you see that? Probably not. Look, the code is, it's my fat head on here. The code is on the tutorial, right? So what you need to do, you need to change the username where it says ** username. You need to change that to your username. Did coding. Lots of typos. And your personal access key is the one we just set up, okay? So if you find wherever you dump that in your notepad, copy that, dump that in here, and it should, if it says successful, we've connected, right? There we go, login successful. So we've now logged into GitHub via a personal access key, and then we need to push, so Docker push, and then where you dump this, you need to change username and then the repository name again. It's nice and easy. Just make sure you get that right on your machine. So this is Django CICD. Decoding. Let that do its business. Okay, that will take a second or two, so I'll pause it quick. Okay, all good. That's been pushed. So now what you need to do is you need to visit one of these URLs, because we're as a user rather than an organization. I'm using this one. So github.com, username, question mark, tabs, packages. I've opened it up already. Here it is. This is the one we just pushed 23 seconds ago. So that is, it's worked, right? So this is the image that we've got. So that's our little test, which is great. We now need to follow the next steps. So go back in here. If you're seeing a package, we're ready to move on. So we're now ready to configure GitHub Actions, right? So GitHub Actions make it easy to automate all of your software workflows. In this case, we're going to do a build job. We're going to do a deploy job. So if you copy this and dump this in main YML, it is creating the build job. GitHub workflows main. Don't want that in there. You want to paste all of that code. Right, okay, it doesn't like that. I will have to have another stab at the code on my website. So the problem I had last time is when I was copying code across from the website, the white space was all mixed up, and that's what it's doing here. So it's actually saying that there's some white space issues. So for instance, it's probably something along the lines of, yeah, there we go. So you just need to go ahead and just change some of this white space accordingly. I'll try to get it up and running on my website. So if you copy it across, it'll all be hunky-dory, but it's just a white space issue. So just go about and just change some of this. I'm going to pause it and just go ahead and do it outside of this video. Okay, that looks like it's all done now. So like I say, it was white space issues. So just make sure you tab them into the correct areas. You can see, I mean, providing there's no errors in the YML, it should be fine. So what we're doing here, we're creating the envs. So we're creating, basically these are the images for each of the different components of Docker. So we've got an app image, Celery, we've got Beat, Flower, and Nginx. So the jobs, this is the kind of the workflows. We've got a build job and we will have a deploy job as well. So we're building a Docker images. We're checking out master. There's the actions, checkout one. So this is just this is what you're going to need in your workflow anyway. So add environment variables to .env. So we're using the secrets that we just created on GitHub to create a .env file. So we're setting our environment variables. So we're echo. So if there is a GitHub env, then use that. If not, we're going to need to create it. So we're using our personal access token to log in. We're pulling the images. We're then using Docker Compose and the CICD YML file that we've got here to build it, and then we're pushing those to GitHub. This is the build job. So when we push to GitHub, it then creates these images in packages, right? So we now go back into our tutorial here. So what we're doing here, we're basically defined the first GitHub job. Okay, go into detail if you want to go. If you want to read this, you can go into more detail, should I say. So, okay, we now need to create our CICD file. So copy all of this across. I'm hoping we're not going to have any white space issue here, but we probably will. Let's have a look. It all looks good. Might have a bit at the bottom. No, it all looks good. It looks to be okay. Yeah, okay, good. So yeah, what we're doing. So let's move that. So in this one, it's a little bit different to our .prod file. So what we're doing, we're caching from the celery image. So if there's an image, then we're using that to create this. So that's the only change we've really made. But we use the CICD file when we're creating the build. We use the prod when we're deploying, okay? Go back into here. We need to then replace all of the prod file with this because there's a couple of changes as well. So docker compose.prod, Control A, Control V. And is there any white space issues? No, there's not. That's good. So far it's only the main YML file that we've got an issue with. So I made a few changes. Again, it's the images here. Okay, so that's what we're using. So we're using these images instead of creating new ones like we normally would when we deploy using Docker. Go back in your tutorial. Scroll down. What have we got? So we now need to push our code to GitHub. So this will fire up the job. Okay, so go back into Visual Studio Code. Oh, that's actually smaller. Can you see that? I do apologize. We open up a new bash terminal here. And then we use our code, which would be git checkout. We need to create a branch CICD with an initial commit. There we go. And then we'll push the code. So what we've done there, we've created a branch called CICD. We've added it, we've committed it with a message saying initial commit, and then we've pushed the code to CICD. So if we go into GitHub now, we go into our actions. I've got an initial commit. So this was 12 seconds ago. There's no errors, which is a good sign. So if we go into initial commit, you can see it's going through, it's doing a build. So we click into that. These are the tests, right? So it's going through each of the sections in the build, right? So we're setting up the job, we're checking out master, we're adding the environment variables to .env. That's what we were doing in this file here, okay? So we're checking out master, add environment variables to .env. So that's what we're doing, going through this build steps in the actions on GitHub. And it's going through there. I will pause the video whilst it's doing that, because it will take a few minutes. Okay, that worked. Perfect. That's what I was hoping for. So if you go into actions on your repository, you've got the initial commit. So obviously that's the message of the commit itself. So if you click into that, you've got the build there. If you click in, it's got all of the setup job, checkout master, add environment variables, spit it out. It then sets the environment variables. It logs into GitHub. It pulls images, builds images, pushes images, completes the job. Okay, tick, 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 tick. No issues. Happy days. So if we go into packages and refresh that, we should now see exactly that, right? So we've got the app, celery, beet, nginx, and flower, which is in our, there we go, app, celery, beet, flower, nginx. They are the 5 images that we've created, okay? So next step is to add a deploy job. There's a typo there. I'm going to copy this, and I'm certain it's going to bugger up again. So let me go here. I'm going to A and V. Yeah, there we go. Right, we've got all of this red stuff. So it's all a white space issue. I'm just going to tidy it up, just pause it and tidy it up. It's just a simple case. You can see here that if you bring back the white space, there we go, it cleans it up. It's just a change. I'll try and get it done correctly on my HTML so you won't have to do this, but if you do, you know what the problem is, right? So I will do this off camera. There we go. All good. So I've just gone down and just tabbed all of the errors out. So so this is the build job. Okay, we've done that. This is the deploy job. So what we've got here, we've got an if statement. So the only time this will actually deploy is if we merge to the main branch. So pushing to CICD, which we did a moment ago, will trigger the build, but nothing will be deployed onto our server until we actually merge. So we'll do a pull request and we'll merge to main, and then it will do a deploy. So we're again creating the env file. We're adding a private SSH key to the SSH agent, which is all of this bit here. We're building and deploying images to DigitalOcean. So, and that's this code here, right? So what this SCP, this is important, right? So this is moving all of the necessary files to DigitalOcean. Okay, so we've got the env file that we're creating, backend, which is the Django app, logs, that's important. That needs to be there because Celery is looking for that directory. Okay, so that has to be there. We've got Nginx, we've got Docker Compose, and then we've got all of the root secrets and what have you. But that's the deploy job, right? So if we save that, it will then say add and commit, so final push, and then we'll push to CICD. That will trigger the build. That'll take 5 or 6 minutes again, and then we'll do a pull request and we'll merge it to the main branch, and that will trigger the deploy, and then hopefully we'll be able to access everything. So let's go into terminal, new terminal. We should have bash open there. We go just git a, we're already in CICD branch, so git commit, and we'll call this final push. Git push u origin, and this is CICD. Running passphrase. Okay, that's pushed it. That should, if we go into GitHub, going to GitHub here, update. So we're going to actions and then update. Oh, we've got an error here. What's this? Define a user's or run key. Okay, so we've got an error. Let me just double check what that is. So this is since adding the deploy, it's got a problem, and that again, that's probably the white space. So just hold on, I'll debug it quickly. Okay, that seems to have been debugged. It was just white space, and I was just messing around. What I had to do, I had to change one of the envs. I just tabbed it too far out. It seems that these main YML files are quite sensitive to white space, so just be very careful. Make sure there's no errors, and just keep tinkering until it works, right? So the code is okay, but the white space is a problem. I'll try and fix this in the tutorial so you can just copy and paste. It's a bit of a pain in the bum, but hey, that is one of those things. So if we go back into GitHub, it looks like it's all working, right? So I will pause the video and we'll have a look once the build is done. When that's done, we'll create a pull request, merge them, and it should deploy. We'll have a look. Okay, that worked, which is fantastic. So go back into actions, final push. So this is the one we had an error with. You can delete that workaround, we don't need that. So I debugged it. So this is the initial commit, this is the final push. If you go into it, you can see it's got a build, so it's built, but it hasn't deployed, because if you remember in our code, we had in our deploy if only do the steps if the branch is main. So what we need to do is go into GitHub, go into the code, and we'll compare and do a pull request from the CICD that we've just pushed. Okay, so CICD, leave a comment. Don't necessarily need to. Create a pull request. Okay, all checks have passed. We can merge with main. Okay, is that what we're doing? Free commits into main from CICD. So merge, pull request, confirm merge. Okay, and what that will do is that will fire up another action. So this is the merge pull request. So this initial commit was to demonstrate the build. This final push was to demonstrate the build, but the deploy not occurring because we're not pushing to the main branch. And now we've merged it. So you can imagine in a production environment, you'd be ironing out bugs and creating new features. You'd be pushing them to a staging branch potentially, testing them, and then you would merge that with your main or production branch. And at that point, it will trigger that and it'll push it all to your production server. So that's what we're kind of doing here. You can see here, what we've done is we've merged it. It's now doing the build. Once that's finished, which should take a few minutes, it will then say, right, okay, we're in the main branch, deploy. Okay, so I'll pause the video here. When it's done, it should all be on the production server. But what we need to do, we need to then go to our terminal there. So we'll connect again. We'll go on there and connect again. Then we need to use docker exec IT, and then we need to basically use bash or bash into the actual container. And this is the app itself. So that will allow us to migrate all of the database tables to Postgres managed database on DigitalOcean. We will then collect static. That will allow us to see or serve up all of the static files for the project, and then we'll exit. And then what we'll do, we'll restart the celery beat image, that because celery beat needs all of the database tables into the database. So once we've done that, it should then work. We should then be able to visit digcoding.uk and see the website. We'll be able to see flower.digcoding.uk, and hopefully we'll see the worker and some of the tasks working. So let me stop waffling on, and hopefully we will go back into GitHub shortly and this will all be green. So I'll come back in a second. Okay, that didn't take long. It did actually. That took like 15 minutes to do, but that's just the way of the world. Can't speed that up. So you can see here on actions that it's done the build job and then it's deployed it. So if you go through the deploy section to DigitalOcean, it's got the setup of the job, checked out master, added the environment variables to .env, SSH key, and it's built and deployed images to DigitalOcean and it's completed the job. Okay, so if you go into, I think it's this one here, if you go to the bottom, you'll see that it's created all of these image on DigitalOcean. So now we can, it won't work because we haven't migrated to the database at all yet. So we need to use this here. So we'll use this. We will open up the console again on DigitalOcean. So open up the droplet, open up the console, let it do its thing. And okay, we should now be able to just use, let's clear that. If we just use that command that I just copied from there. So it's docker exec -it. And in this case, it's got did Django scheduled jobs v2 Django app. Yours might be called something different, but that's what ours is called. Okay, we'll put ls. This is everything that's been moved across. We've got Dockerfile prod, we've got entry point, media. So I know because I've got the media and the static files, or static directories, when I do collect static, that will work. We've got the logs here, which is great. That's exactly what we want to see. So if we now go Python, manage.py, migrate, with any luck, there we go. So that means the database is all set up correctly. So Python, manage.py, collect static, should be at 28 or 29. There we go, and now we can exit. And now we go back into our tutorial. We can now restart celery beat because that is reliant on some of the tables that are now in the database. So go back into our terminal, paste, let that do its thing. Okay, moment of truth. So we can now go to a new terminal. Let's go incognito. And if we go to didcoding.uk, there we go, that works. You can see we've got a little lock there. That means that it is SSL. So if you click on that, that will actually be HTTPS. So that works. We won't test that just yet, but if we go into flower.decoding, it will be, has that been saved? Okay, that's not working. Interesting. So the worker isn't working. So what we need to do is we need to have a look at the logs. So I think I can just go docker logs -- details, and then we can select the name here. Typical. So Docker logs -- details, and just paste that in there. I'll come up with the logs. Requires exactly one argument. One sec. Is it log? Oh, what am I doing that? We don't want Docker restart. There we go. So that actually, the 30-second function looks to be working, although it's not registering in Flower. So there's something going on here with the celery worker. So if we go in here and look at what am I doing? So it's underscore, I think it's worker. Not two underscores. I do apologize. Okay, so it's saying that home app web logs celery log cannot be found. Okay, home app web logs celery cannot be found. Let's have a little look. Then we're just going to debug and have a little look what's going on here. Okay, it looks like all I needed to do was create this celery log folder in the backend project itself, and that's just what I did. I repushed it. So if you're looking at actions, I merged, so I pushed some more code, I stopped the action and I merged it with the main branch. And now if I go into, so I've just execed into Django. So if I just go exit, and now if I, don't want that. Just CD back here. If I go into Docker logs -- details, and this is did Django schedule jobs v2 celery worker prod. There you go, it's actually working now. So yeah, all I did is I just added the extra log into the celery log into the main backend Django app, pushed the code, and it all worked fine. Don't know why I had to do that, because I didn't have to do that in the video last time. It seemed to just pick up that the logs were there. Either way, it's working now. So if we go into a new browser, did coding, and it's .uk. So like I said, it's got the little lock, so it's got an SSL. This is working. If we go into Flower, the worker should be what it's there. Right, okay, so tasks. This is the 30-second function that is working. You can see these are all a success. So if we now test did coding UK, and if we sign up using my email address, stick any old password in there, it doesn't really matter. We're just testing whether or not the email will be sent. Click sign up. That email should be sent via the worker. Go in here and update. There we go. So an email was sent. So if I actually sign into my email account, you should see here that I've received an email. There you go. Thanks for signing up. Happy days. So that actually works. So I'm really happy with that. A couple of issues right at the end with the celery log. So what you want to do is just use the command docker logs details and add the name of the container that you want to look at. And that is a good way of debugging. So I quickly identified that the reason that the celery worker wasn't working is because it couldn't find the celery log file in a directory called logs. So I went back to my code, had a little look. I couldn't immediately find anything obvious, and what I ended up doing is just adding a logs directory in backend to see if the path was incorrect. Added it, pushed it to GitHub, merged it with a branch. Hey presto, it all works. So maybe logs, celery logs shouldn't be here. Either way, debug your own project. That is what was working. I just looked at, sorry, that is what the problem was. I looked at the logs on the worker, told me what was wrong, fixed it, pushed it, merged it, happy days. So that's Well, that marks the end of this video. So just before I close off, if this is the first time you visited Decoding, then please subscribe and click the bell so you're notified every time I add a video, and also give me a like and a comment. I do apologize that this video was a little bit clunky towards the end. I thought it was going to be anyway, because it's such a complicated task to get this all set up, because you've got white space issues, you've got syntax issues, you've got there's a lot of things that we're having to do to make sure it just works perfectly when we push the code to the live server. We've got SSL certificates and all sorts. So it wasn't an easy ride. What is it taking? Just under an hour to get this up and running. It will probably take 2 hours by the time you take into account all of the sudo apt updates, the upgrades, the package installs, the pushing and merging and building of images on GitHub. But in 2 hours, what we've done is we've implemented CICD into a Dockerized Django project, and we've implemented it and got it on a live DigitalOcean droplet, which is quite an achievement, really. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I've enjoyed making it. Like I said at the start of the video, I've wanted to do this for some time. I'm glad it worked. The description to the GitHub repository is in the, the link to the GitHub repository is in the description below. So by all means, have a tinker, use the code in your own project, and good luck. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, bye.